Hello and welcome to Wisdom and Wealth, a channel dedicated to helping you live a richer, more fulfilling life, both financially and emotionally. Today, we're diving deep into a topic that affects us all, especially as we navigate the complexities of life after 40, mastering our anger. I hope that you will like and subscribe to Buddhist Doctrine channel for more content. As the great Buddha once profoundly stated, you won't be punished for your anger, you'll be punished by it. Take a moment to truly consider this. How many times has anger surged through you, leaving you feeling drained, resentful, and far removed from a state of peace? What if you could break free from this destructive pattern? Imagine a life where nothing anyone says or does can disrupt your inner tranquility, where your emotions are guided not by external events, but by your own conscious choices. This isn't just wishful thinking, it's a skill that can be developed. This can be learned. Anger doesn't simply befall you, you allow it to take root. The true power resides in mastering your reactions, specifically in that subtle pause between an event occurring and your subsequent response. In this video, we will explore 7 powerful lessons designed to help you curtail anger and frustration towards others. You may learn ways to master your anger or discover techniques to improve your mood. Through these time-tested teachings, you will gain the ability to transform anger into wisdom, cultivating emotional resilience and maturity. If you are enjoying this content, please like and subscribe to Buddhist Doctrine channel for more content. You'll find yourself increasingly equipped to maintain composure, steadiness, and an unshakable presence, regardless of the challenges that come your way. Are you ready to take command of your emotional landscape and cultivate profound inner peace? Let's delve into the art of non-reaction, discovering the wellspring of stillness that resides within you, waiting to be tapped. One of the first steps in mastering anger is to recognize the source of your anger. Anger is a typical reaction to things outside our control, such as arguments, unfairness, or someone being rude. But, what if the true cause is inside you? Next time anger rises, pause and ask, why does this bother me so much? Often anger comes from hidden places, unmet needs, old hurts, or our ego feeling challenged. For example, if someone cuts you off in traffic, you might get mad because you expected a smooth drive, and you see that expectation of a smooth drive did not happen. Or if a coworker says something sharp, your pride might feel hurt. These reactions usually come from our own fears, insecurities, or past pain that hasn't healed. But when you dig deeper and understand what truly fuels your anger, you take away its control over you. Realizing that anger isn't just about the situation, but how we see it is the first step to mastering your emotions. If you feel that this video is helpful to you, please like and subscribe to Buddhist Doctrine channel for more content. Remember, how others act isn't about you, it's about them and their own struggles. Once you see this, letting go of reactions and keeping your peace becomes much easier. 2. Practice the pause between stimulus and response. One of the most powerful tools for controlling your anger is something incredibly simple yet often overlooked: the pause. This is the brief moment that happens between when something happens, the stimulus, and how you choose to respond, your reaction. In that moment of pause, there is great power. Think about it. How often do we immediately react to something with anger, frustration, or irritation without taking a moment to think? It's a natural response, but it's also an automatic reaction. The key to mastering your anger is learning to pause before reacting. When something triggers your anger, instead of responding right away, take a deep breath and create a small gap in your mind. This is your chance to stop yourself from reacting impulsively. It could be just a few seconds, but in those few seconds, you have the power to decide how you want to respond. Are you going to let your emotions take control, or are you going to choose a calm, measured response? This pause is the difference between a knee-jerk reaction and a thoughtful decision. The ability to pause before reacting is a tool of self-mastery. It may sound simple, but it's not always easy, especially when emotions are high. It takes time, practice, and awareness. The more you practice creating this pause, the easier it will become. It's like training a muscle. At first, it feels awkward, but over time, it becomes second nature. As you strengthen this skill, you'll find that you have much more control over how you react to the world around you. By practicing the pause, you give yourself the space to respond with wisdom instead of reacting out of anger. 3. Reframe your perspective. When we feel angry, it's easy to see the situation as a personal attack or something that's wronging us. Whether it's someone cutting in line, a rude comment, or a frustrating situation, our natural instinct is often to feel hurt or upset. However, one of the most powerful ways to handle anger is by shifting how we see the situation, which is known as reframing. Instead of reacting with anger, try to reframe the event and look at it from a different angle. For example, if someone is being rude or disrespectful, instead of immediately thinking, "This person is attacking me," try to understand that their behavior may stem from their own struggles. Maybe they are going through something painful that you don't know about. Sometimes people lash out, not because of you, but because they are hurting inside and don't know how to express it. Reframing is also about seeing challenges as opportunities for growth. Instead of feeling frustrated, ask yourself, could this situation be a chance for me to learn something? Maybe it's teaching you patience, self-control, or empathy. Perhaps the way someone treats you is a mirror showing you something about yourself. Maybe a trigger or a wound that still needs healing. By shifting your perspective like this, you can begin to view the world not through the lens of anger and frustration, but through a lens of compassion and understanding. It's about seeing the bigger picture and realizing that not everything is personal. This mindset shift allows you to respond to situations calmly and with wisdom rather than allowing anger to take over. Reframing helps you stay grounded and centered no matter what's happening around you. 4. Let go of expectations. A lot of the anger we feel comes from the expectations we place on others or on life itself. We have certain ideas about how things should be, how people should behave, or how events should unfold. For example, we may expect our friends to always be supportive, our colleagues to treat us fairly, or life to go according to the plans we've carefully made. But when reality doesn't match our expectations, that's when frustration and anger often set in. The truth is, life is unpredictable and so are people. We can't control everything that happens, nor can we control how others act. When we hold on tightly to rigid expectations, we set ourselves up for disappointment. People will sometimes let us down, plans will fall apart, and life won't always follow the path we envisioned. Instead of getting angry about things not going as expected, we need to learn to let go of those rigid expectations. Letting go of expectations means embracing the idea that life is full of surprises. Some good, some not so great. Instead of expecting things to go your way, be open to the possibility that things might unfold differently than you imagined. And that's okay. Sometimes the unexpected can bring new opportunities, new lessons, or even unexpected joys. By being more flexible and open-minded, you free yourself from the anger that arises when things don't go according to plan. When you let go of your need for control and learn to accept life's unpredictability, you'll find that many of your frustrations and disappointments start to fade away. You'll be able to flow with life rather than fighting against it. And this freedom from rigid expectations will help you maintain your peace no matter what comes your way. 5. Cultivate empathy, not judgment. One of the quickest paths to anger is judgment. When we judge others, especially when their actions or words seem unfair or hurtful, we immediately feel that they've done something wrong, and our emotional reaction is usually one of frustration or anger. We start thinking, why did they say that? Or how could they treat me that way? However, this approach to dealing with others only fuels anger because it leads us to view people as the enemy or the problem. But what if instead of judging them, we learn to view them with empathy? Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. Instead of focusing on how someone's actions are wrong, we can try to put ourselves in their shoes. Perhaps the person who was rude or disrespectful is facing personal struggles you don't know about. Maybe they are going through something painful and they are acting out of that pain, not because they intend to hurt you. People don't always act out of malice. Sometimes they simply don't know how to cope with their own emotions. When we judge others harshly, we create separation, and that's where anger thrives. We see them as the bad person and ourselves as the victim. But when we choose empathy over judgment, we shift from a mindset of separation to one of connection. We start to see that everyone has their own struggles and they are just as human as we are. Instead of feeling anger toward them, we begin to feel compassion. We can understand that their actions are a reflection of their own battles, not a personal attack on us. Cultivating empathy doesn't mean allowing others to treat you poorly, but it does mean giving others the benefit of the doubt and trying to understand why they act the way they do. It's about realizing that their behavior may come from their own pain, fears, or misunderstandings. When we choose empathy, we free ourselves from the burden of anger because we stop taking things personally. Instead of reacting with judgment and frustration, we respond with compassion and understanding. This approach not only brings peace to our own hearts, but also fosters better relationships and a more peaceful mindset. In practice, when someone frustrates or hurts you, try asking yourself, what might this person be going through, or what might be causing them to act this way? By stepping into their world for a moment, you begin to replace judgment with understanding. And in doing so, you neutralize the anger that judgment so often brings. Cultivating empathy allows you to respond to others with kindness and patience instead of irritation or resentment. The more you practice empathy, the easier it becomes to remain calm and composed even in the face of difficult people or challenging situations. 6. Master the art of self-control. Self-control is one of the most powerful tools we can use to manage our emotions, especially anger. It might seem challenging, but the ability to control how we respond to situations is within our reach. Anger is a natural human emotion, and it's okay to feel it sometimes. What matters most is how we choose to express it and what we do with that emotion. Mastering the art of self-control doesn't mean suppressing your anger or pretending it doesn't exist. Instead, it's about learning how to manage it so that it doesn't control you. When you feel anger rising within you, the first step is to pause and take a moment to breathe. This simple action can create a space between the emotion and your response, giving you time to reflect. In that moment, ask yourself, what is this anger really about? Is it worth reacting to right now? Sometimes we get angry because of something small or insignificant that doesn't need a big reaction. By taking that breath, you create a moment of awareness, which allows you to step back from the situation and gain perspective. This is the first step in self-control, recognizing the emotion before it takes over. The next step is understanding that you are in control of your actions, not your emotions. Emotions can feel overwhelming, especially in stressful or frustrating situations. But they don't have to dictate your behavior. You have the power to choose how to respond. For example, if someone is rude to you, you can choose to respond with kindness or walk away without engaging. You don't need to let their behavior trigger an angry outburst. In this way, you learn to control your actions, not by denying your feelings, but by choosing not to let them control you. Self-control also involves managing your thoughts. Often, we get angry because of the thoughts running through our minds. Thoughts like, this isn't fair, or, why are they doing this to me? These thoughts feed the anger and make it stronger. The key to self-control is to observe these thoughts and decide whether or not you want to continue thinking them. You can choose to replace those thoughts with more balanced ones, such as maybe they're having a tough day or this situation isn't worth my energy. By changing your mindset, you begin to take control of your emotional state. Another important part of self-control is setting boundaries. Sometimes anger arises when we feel disrespected or violated. In those moments, self-control doesn't mean letting people walk all over us. It means calmly and assertively communicating our boundaries without letting anger get the best of us. You can stand up for yourself while staying calm and composed. For instance, if someone is speaking to you in a disrespectful tone, you can say, I don't appreciate the way you're speaking to me, without raising your voice or becoming defensive. This allows you to assert yourself while maintaining control over your emotions. Lastly, self-control requires practice and patience. Like any skill, it takes time to develop. You won't always get it right, and that's okay. The important thing is to keep practicing. When you're faced with a challenging situation, remind yourself that you have the power to control your reaction. With time, self-control becomes more natural and easier to apply, and you'll find yourself responding to anger-inducing situations with calmness and composure rather than letting your emotions dictate your behavior. In the long run, mastering self-control not only helps you manage anger, but also brings you closer to inner peace. It allows you to navigate life's challenges with a sense of balance and stability. When you no longer let anger control you, you'll find that you feel more empowered, more peaceful, and more in charge of your own emotional well-being. 7. Understand that you are in control of your peace. At the core of mastering anger is realizing one fundamental truth. You are the only one who has control over your peace. No one else. No situation, no action of another person can take away your inner peace unless you allow it. In a world full of external chaos, distractions, and difficult people, it's easy to believe that our peace depends on external circumstances. We think if only this person didn't say that, or if this situation had gone differently, I wouldn't feel so upset. But the reality is that our peace is not dependent on external things. It's something we can choose and cultivate from within. When you fully understand that your peace is in your hands, you begin to recognize that no one has the power to make you feel angry unless you let them. This doesn't mean that the actions of others are always acceptable or that difficult situations don't happen. What it means is that despite what's going on around you, you have the ability to choose how to respond. If you choose to react with anger, frustration, or irritation, you are handing over your peace to someone or something else. However, if you choose to remain calm, composed, and centered, you are taking control of your emotional state and protecting your peace. Understanding that you are in control of your peace also means letting go of the belief that you need to be constantly reacting to everything around you. We often get caught up in trying to fix situations, change people's behavior, or make everything go according to our plan. But life is unpredictable and people are unpredictable. If we constantly try to control every situation, we end up draining ourselves and losing our inner peace. True peace comes from accepting that we cannot control everything. We can control how we respond, but not always the circumstances themselves. The more you let go of the need to control everything and focus on how you can control your own reactions, the more peace you will experience. It's also essential to remember that peace is not something you achieve once and for all. It's something you must continually choose and nurture. Every time you face a challenge, a disagreement, or a situation that could trigger anger, you have a choice. Will you let your emotions control you? Or will you choose peace instead? The more often you choose peace, the more it becomes a natural part of your life. When you make peace a priority in your life, it becomes a habit, something that feels more automatic with time. A powerful tool for maintaining your peace is the practice of mindfulness. By staying present in the moment, you can avoid getting swept away by the emotional waves that others may try to create. Mindfulness allows you to observe your emotions without becoming overwhelmed by them. You can notice when anger or frustration starts to rise and choose to respond with calmness instead of getting caught up in the emotional reaction. This practice strengthens your ability to remain peaceful no matter what's happening around you. Another aspect of protecting your peace is creating healthy boundaries. When you allow others to overstep your boundaries or when you take on too much responsibility for things outside of your control, your peace can easily be disrupted. Setting boundaries is a way of honoring your emotional well-being and making sure that you are not constantly giving away your energy to things that drain you. This could mean limiting time with negative people, saying no to requests that don't align with your priorities, or stepping away from situations that bring unnecessary stress. Ultimately, when you realize that peace is something you can choose at any moment, you reclaim your power. You stop relying on the actions of others or the circumstances around you to determine how you feel. Instead, you become the source of your own peace. Life will always have its challenges, but by understanding that you are the guardian of your own peace, you can approach each challenge with calmness and clarity. Remember, you have the power to protect your peace, and no one can take that away from you unless you let them. By accepting that your peace is yours to protect, you can face life's ups and downs with resilience, knowing that no external situation has the power to disturb your inner calm unless you allow it. The more you embrace this understanding, the more peaceful and centered you will feel, no matter what life throws your way. 8. Embrace the power of forgiveness. One of the most profound tools for never getting angry or bothered by others is the power of forgiveness. Anger often holds us hostage, lingering within us, preventing us from moving forward. It can build up over time and affect our physical and emotional well-being. But forgiveness is the key to breaking free from the chains of anger. By forgiving others, and more importantly by forgiving ourselves, we unlock the door to lasting peace and emotional freedom. Forgiveness doesn't mean that what happened to you was okay. Nor does it mean you need to forget the hurt. Forgiveness is not about excusing the actions of others, but rather about releasing yourself from the grip of anger, resentment, or bitterness. When we hold on to grudges, we allow the person who hurt us to continue having power over us, even long after the incident has passed. That power isn't worth holding on to, especially when it's robbing us of our peace and happiness. One of the most important things to understand about forgiveness is that it is for you, not for the other person. Forgiving someone doesn't change their behavior or the past, but it changes how you feel about it. It allows you to let go of the emotional weight and free yourself from the anger that keeps you tied to a painful memory. You choose peace over conflict, freedom over bitterness. Forgiveness also includes forgiving yourself. We often hold ourselves accountable for things we've done or failed to do. And this self-blame can lead to a cycle of guilt, frustration, and anger. By forgiving yourself, we release the self-punishment and open up the possibility for growth, healing, and change. It's important to remember that we are all human and we all make mistakes. When we practice self-forgiveness, we stop being our harshest critics and start being our greatest supporters. This shift allows us to stop reacting angrily to our mistakes and instead approach them with compassion, understanding, and a willingness to learn. The process of forgiveness can take time, and it may not happen all at once. It's not something you can force, and it's okay if it feels difficult at first. Start by acknowledging the pain and the anger, and then make the conscious choice to release it. One powerful way to begin is by speaking out loud or writing down, "I forgive you," even if you don't feel it right away. Over time, this act of letting go helps to ease the grip that anger and resentment hold over you. Another powerful tool in the forgiveness process is mindfulness. Mindfulness helps us become more aware of our thoughts and emotions in the present moment. Often we carry anger and resentment from past experiences, and these old wounds can continue to affect our current emotions. By practicing mindfulness, we can notice when these old feelings of anger or resentment come up, and we can choose to let them go rather than holding on to them. The more aware we are of how we're feeling and what thoughts are triggering our anger, the easier it becomes to choose forgiveness and release those negative emotions. It's also important to recognize that forgiveness is not about accepting harmful behavior or allowing others to hurt us again. It's about setting healthy boundaries and choosing to protect our emotional well-being. Forgiving someone doesn't mean that you have to allow them back into your life in the same way as before. It simply means that you're choosing to release the hold that their actions have on your peace. You are making the choice to move on without letting past pain dictate your present happiness. Forgiveness is the most powerful form of self-liberation. It frees you from the emotional burdens of anger and resentment, allowing you to reclaim your peace and emotional well-being. By embracing forgiveness, you stop allowing the actions of others to dictate your emotional state. Instead, you take back control, choosing peace, healing, and growth over anger and bitterness. This is a practice that can transform your life and help you to live in the freedom of emotional peace, no matter what challenges come your way. 9. Practice gratitude to shift your focus from anger to peace. One of the most transformative practices you can incorporate into your life to prevent anger from taking hold is gratitude. Anger often arises when we focus on what's wrong, what's missing, or what's unfair. It's easy to get caught up in negative thinking, especially when we feel hurt, disappointed, or wronged by others. But gratitude is a powerful antidote to anger because it forces us to shift our focus away from what is causing us pain and instead focus on what is good and abundant in our lives. When you practice gratitude, you begin to see the world through a different lens. Instead of focusing on the negatives, you train your mind to look for the positives. This shift in focus has a profound impact on how you perceive situations and people. When we feel angry or upset, it's often because we're concentrating on what isn't going right. But gratitude allows us to pause and appreciate the many blessings we have, both big and small. Gratitude helps you reframe your perspective, just as we discussed earlier, but it goes a step further by deepening your emotional connection to the positive aspects of your life. The key to using gratitude as a tool for managing anger is to make it a consistent practice. It's not just something you do when you're feeling down or upset. It's something you incorporate into your daily routine, regardless of how you're feeling. One of the most effective ways to practice gratitude is by keeping a gratitude journal. At the end of each day, write down 3 things you're grateful for. They can be simple things like the warmth of the sun on your face, a kind word from a friend, or a delicious meal. The point is to focus on the positive even when life feels difficult. When you start your day by listing the things you're grateful for, you set a positive tone for the rest of the day. Even when you face challenging situations, you'll have trained your mind to first look for the blessings in your life rather than focusing on what's frustrating or upsetting. Gratitude helps you cultivate a mindset of abundance, reminding you that even in the midst of hardship, there is always something to be thankful for. Another powerful way to practice gratitude is by expressing it to others. When you take the time to thank someone for their kindness, support, or even just their presence, you deepen your emotional connections with them and shift your focus away from any negativity. Expressing gratitude helps to build stronger, more positive relationships, which in turn contributes to your emotional well-being. By acknowledging the good in others, you begin to see them in a more compassionate and understanding light, which can prevent anger and frustration from arising in the first place. Gratitude also helps you let go of grudges and negative emotions. When you're focused on what you're grateful for, there's no room for bitterness or resentment. For example, if someone has wronged you and you're holding on to anger, practicing gratitude can help you shift your mindset. Instead of ruminating on what was done to you, you can begin to focus on the things in your life that bring you joy and fulfillment. This doesn't mean you ignore or excuse the wrongs done to you, but it means that you no longer allow those wrongs to dominate your emotional state. When you consciously choose to focus on gratitude, you free yourself from the grip of anger and open up space for peace and healing. Practicing gratitude is also a way to rewire your brain. Studies have shown that when you focus on the positive aspects of your life, your brain releases feel-good chemicals like dopamine and serotonin. These chemicals boost your mood and promote a sense of well-being. The more you practice gratitude, the more you train your brain to look for the positive in every situation over time. This makes it easier to stay calm and composed even in the face of anger-inducing situations. One of the most beautiful aspects of gratitude is that it's a practice that's accessible to everyone. You don't need any special tools or resources to be grateful. You can start right now in this very moment. No matter where you are or what you're going through, you can find something to be grateful for. The more you make gratitude a part of your daily life, the more your ability to stay calm and peaceful in the face of challenges will grow. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's wrong to what's right, from what you lack to what you have. It transforms your mindset, your emotional state, and your relationships. And it has the power to prevent anger from taking hold even in the most difficult of situations. In conclusion, gratitude is one of the most effective tools for managing anger and creating lasting peace in your life. By consistently practicing gratitude, you shift your focus from frustration to appreciation, from negativity to positivity. As you make gratitude a daily habit, you'll find that your emotional responses to challenges become more balanced and calm. Gratitude helps you cultivate inner peace. And with that peace comes the ability to stay unshaken, no matter what life throws your way. Let go of the need to be right. One of the biggest sources of anger in our lives comes from the desire to always be right. We all have moments when we feel we have the correct answer, the better approach, or the perfect solution to a situation. When someone challenges our point of view or disagrees with us, it's easy to feel upset, defensive, or frustrated. The need to be right can spark anger and resentment, particularly when we feel that our opinions or beliefs are being attacked. But what if you could let go of the constant need to be right and choose peace instead? This lesson is about learning to free yourself from the grip of being right all the time and embracing the freedom of letting go. The first step in letting go of the need to be right is realizing that being right doesn't necessarily bring peace or happiness. In fact, it often does the opposite. When we are so focused on proving ourselves right, we tend to create tension, division, and conflict. This is especially true in our relationships with others. When we insist on being right, we can alienate the people around us, pushing them away and making it harder to build meaningful, respectful connections. The desire to always be right can create a battleground where the goal isn't to understand one another, but to win. Now, consider this. What would happen if instead of insisting on being right, you chose to listen and understand? What if you focused more on connecting with others and less on winning a debate? When you let go of the need to always be right, you open the door to greater communication, empathy, and growth. You allow yourself to listen to other perspectives, to learn from them, and to grow. There is a great deal of strength and wisdom in admitting that you don't have all the answers and that there's always room to learn and evolve. Letting go of the need to be right doesn't mean you stop standing up for your beliefs or opinions. It simply means that you recognize that your viewpoint is not the only valid one. By acknowledging that other people may have valid perspectives, even if they differ from yours, you cultivate humility and openness. You learn to approach situations with curiosity rather than defensiveness. Instead of getting angry when someone disagrees with you, you can view it as an opportunity to understand them better, to see the world through their eyes, and to broaden your own understanding of the situation. Another key aspect of letting go of the need to be right is accepting that not everything is a personal battle. Life is not a series of competitions where we must prove our worth by being right. Often disagreements or differing opinions are just that, differences of opinion. They don't define your value and they certainly don't need to disrupt your peace. When you let go of the need to always be right, you stop viewing every conversation or disagreement as a challenge. You stop attaching your sense of self-worth to the need for validation or approval from others. You no longer feel the need to win every argument and instead you embrace the beauty of dialogue, collaboration, and mutual respect. This shift in perspective allows you to stay calm and composed even in situations where others may be passionate or heated in their views. You can remain rooted in your peace because you no longer need to engage in the emotional tug-of-war that comes with defending your position at all costs. You'll find that by choosing peace over being right, you create a more harmonious environment for yourself and those around you. Instead of causing conflict, you're cultivating understanding, patience, and empathy. Letting go of the need to be right also frees you from unnecessary stress. Constantly striving to prove yourself right can be exhausting, especially when it feels like the world is always testing your beliefs or opinions. But when you let go of this pressure, you liberate yourself. You no longer have to carry the weight of constantly defending your point of view, nor do you have to feel anxiety when faced with differing opinions. Instead, you approach each situation with an open heart and mind, knowing that your value does not depend on being right, but on being present, compassionate, and understanding. There's also a great deal of peace that comes with accepting the limitations of your own knowledge. We all have blind spots and areas where we can grow. And acknowledging that we don't know everything allows us to be more adaptable, open, and receptive to new ideas. It allows us to be more in tune with the fluidity of life and the understanding that things are constantly changing. By letting go of the need to be right, you align yourself with the ever-evolving nature of life where growth, change, and learning are constants. In conclusion, letting go of the need to be right is one of the most liberating practices you can adopt. It allows you to free yourself from the grip of pride, defensiveness, and anger. When you stop feeling the need to constantly prove yourself right, you open yourself up to a life of deeper understanding, connection, and peace. You'll find that relationships become more fulfilling. Communication flows more easily, and you experience less frustration and stress. The true power of peace lies not in winning every argument, but in choosing to be calm, understanding, and present no matter what life brings your way. Cultivate mindfulness to stay present and avoid anger. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in the moment, aware of your thoughts, emotions, and surroundings without judgment. In our fast-paced, often stressful lives, it's easy to get caught up in past regrets or future worries, both of which can fuel anger. When we are not fully present, our emotions can easily take control, and we can react impulsively without thinking through our actions. This is especially true when we feel frustrated or upset. By cultivating mindfulness, you can learn to stay grounded in the present moment, which helps you avoid being swept away by anger and negative emotions. The foundation of mindfulness is awareness. By becoming more aware of your thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations, you begin to notice when anger is arising within you. Anger often starts as a subtle feeling, a slight tension or irritation that if ignored can grow into something more intense. When you're mindful, you can recognize this feeling early on and address it before it escalates. For example, if someone says something that triggers you, instead of immediately reacting with anger, mindfulness helps you notice the first signs of irritation. By becoming aware of this feeling, you can make a conscious choice about how to respond rather than reacting out of habit or emotion. One of the most effective mindfulness techniques for managing anger is deep breathing. When you feel anger starting to rise, take a few slow, deep breaths. As you breathe in, focus on the sensation of air filling your lungs. As you breathe out, imagine releasing any tension or frustration. Deep breathing activates the body's relaxation response, which counteracts the fight-or-flight response that anger triggers. By focusing on your breath, you bring yourself back to the present moment and break the cycle of escalating anger. This pause created by deep breathing gives you the space to choose a thoughtful response instead of a knee-jerk reaction. Mindfulness also encourages non-judgmental awareness. Often we get angry because we judge a situation, person, or ourselves negatively. We might think this is unfair or they shouldn't have done that. These judgments create tension and fuel our anger. Mindfulness teaches us to observe our thoughts and emotions without attaching labels like good or bad. Instead of judging the situation or your emotions, you simply acknowledge them. For example, instead of thinking, "I'm so angry because they disrespected me," mindfulness would encourage you to think, "I'm noticing that I'm feeling angry right now, and that's okay." This shift in perspective helps to dissolve the power that anger has over you. When you can observe your feelings without judgment, you free yourself from the grip of negative emotions. In addition to being aware of your thoughts and emotions, mindfulness also encourages you to be present in your body. When we're angry, our bodies often react with physical tension such as clenched fists, tight shoulders, or a racing heart. By tuning into your body, you can become more aware of these physical signs of anger before they escalate. This awareness helps you recognize when you need to take a step back or engage in a calming practice such as taking a walk or practicing progressive muscle relaxation. Learning to listen to your body in this way gives you more control over your reactions and helps you manage anger in healthier ways. Another important aspect of mindfulness is cultivating compassion both for yourself and others. When we're angry, we often focus on how wrong someone else is and we forget that everyone, including ourselves, has struggles and challenges. Mindfulness helps us recognize that we are all human and that people's actions are often a reflection of their own pain or suffering. By practicing compassion, you can let go of the need to be right or to blame others. Instead of reacting with anger, you can respond with understanding and empathy. When we approach difficult situations with compassion, we create a space for healing and connection rather than conflict and separation. Mindfulness also teaches us to let go of the need to control everything. So much of our anger arises when we try to control situations, people, or outcomes. When things don't go the way we want, we become frustrated and angry. Mindfulness reminds us that there is beauty in accepting things as they are without the need to control or manipulate them. When we let go of the need for things to be a certain way, we reduce our frustration and allow ourselves to experience life as it is without resistance. This acceptance brings peace and calm even in the midst of challenging situations. Practicing mindfulness regularly can have a profound impact on your ability to manage anger. As you become more aware of your thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations, you learn to respond with intention and self-awareness rather than reacting impulsively. Over time, mindfulness helps you develop a deeper sense of inner peace and emotional resilience, which allows you to navigate life's challenges with calmness and grace. In conclusion, mindfulness is a powerful tool for staying present and managing anger. By cultivating mindfulness, you become more aware of your emotions, thoughts, and physical reactions, which gives you the ability to respond to situations with calmness and clarity. Through practices such as deep breathing, non-judgmental awareness, and compassion, you can break the cycle of anger and create space for peace and understanding. With regular mindfulness practice, you'll find that anger has less power over you, and you can approach life's challenges with a peaceful and centered mindset. Build emotional resilience to prevent anger from taking over. Emotional resilience is the ability to adapt to stressful situations, setbacks, and challenges without being overwhelmed by negative emotions like anger, frustration, or helplessness. It's about bouncing back from adversity and maintaining emotional balance in the face of life's difficulties. Anger can feel like an uncontrollable,